Guess what we're doing today, or tonight? We're going to start it tonight. We are making a junk journal folio. We're going to make something like this, something very much like this, but instead of using this paper, the bee paper, the beautiful bee paper, we're going to be using this. This is inspired by the short story called The Yellow Wallpaper. If you haven't read it before, check it out. The link is in the description. That is kind of irrelevant. I like themes and ideas when I make things like that. So we're gonna get started on this, and I decided I'm gonna use this for my cover. And when I was looking this over today, since the cover part is just 2 layers of paper, I had laid this out to sort of measure with my eyes. I don't have a sheet with specific measurements. Sometimes I measure with my heart, but I'm going to try to break this down. So like if you're using this for inspiration or you want ideas, and I know that some of you requested sort of a tutorial on this one, I'm gonna do my best, but I don't have specific measurements. So we're gonna be measuring with our hearts today. But one thing I remembered was, because when I make these, when I make all of my journals or my journal folios, everyone is completely different because I work with what I have. So flipping this over, this is the bee paper. It's like a giant, kind of a square, because that was the size of this piece. So I had to make it longer because I wanted to do a trifold. This trifold design is inspired by my Mad Hatter journal that I did, and I used an old greeting card for the cover. So I didn't realize how much I would love that design. So, but I have an 8.5 by 11 here. So I'm thinking I do want to do something similar, but I have different measurements of paper available. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort of mimic the folds. Since this is the front, I'm going to go ahead and fold it about here. Because this is kind of slender, which is okay, but I want it a little bit, let's do a little bit wider this time around. Let's get you up. So I'm folding this here. This is about the size. So this is going to be this cover flap here. This is about the size I'm going to want for the left side of the cover. And then I want to leave maybe about, I'm going to estimate about 1 inch here. That's an estimate. And then I'm going to fold this, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I love playing with paper. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I do this. Okay. So this is going to be great. Oh, I can already see it, and I already love it. Okay. So we're going to set this aside for now. And I'm going to be gluing this here. And then we're going to have this edge. I'm not sure how visible this is going to be. And I'll tell you why in just a second. So I'm going to cut this about here, so that no matter which way we fold it, left over right or right over left, it won't overlap too much. So let's go ahead and cut this here. And I'm gonna eyeball that. I do like not having specific measurements, and this may change because future me one day might be like, oh my goodness, you know, if I start having specific measurements. But if I had something all designed and set up with like the inches, or this is this wide and this is this long, and I forget a detail, it's gonna really stress me out, and it's gonna mess with my process. So I'm not gonna do that. All right, so we can make this the cover. So you can see it if you go like this, or since the direction kind of doesn't matter, you can do this, because I think I like this better. Yep. Because then you have the pink peeking on both sides. I don't know if that's going to make me nuts or not. But I do feel like this is the right side up for the wallpaper, but really we can flip that over. It's not going to matter if it's decorated. So as of right now, I would like for this to be this side of the cover, but if I get it all sewn and reinforced and everything and I don't like it, then I'll go ahead and flip it over. But I'm going to distress the edge here because I want the contrast. I want the contrast of the dark brown separating these two. But, I could make this a tiny tuck spot, but I think I just want to sew it shut. Okay, so the next thing I'll do then is I will be gluing this here. Yep, we're gonna try to make this part the left side of the cover. So I'm gonna glue this here, and then for my next step, I will be gluing in the second layers of paper on the other side. Because if we see this here and this music paper here, I had glued this together before I sewed the edges, but I let the glue completely dry. Some people swear they would never sew over glue. I'm not those people. I will absolutely sew over the glue, as long as it's dry. And I do have extra needles. Okay, I'll do this. Glue this here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I guess I would say if you like this video so far, but maybe it's too soon to tell. But if you like this video, please like this video. And if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe so we can stay in touch. That would be cool. I'm not gonna glue it everywhere because, one moment. Okay, I'm not gonna glue it everywhere because we're gonna reinforce where it folds with some fabric, and we're gonna sew on that. Oh, and I didn't ink the edge. That's gonna be okay. I have an idea. We'll just put like a piece of contrasting paper for trim there. It's gonna be great. I can already see how awesome it looks. Feels a little thin, but we're gonna fix that. So we'll glue the second layers on here now. We'll set this aside. And after I glue the second layers on the inside, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna actually let this dry tonight, and then we'll finish this up tomorrow because I wanna make sure that it's dry before I start sewing on this, like I said, because I don't wanna gum up my machine. I love my machine. And so tomorrow, it's not gonna matter because this is all in one video, but for my brain, tomorrow, the next steps will be choosing also the fabric for the reinforcing on the outside. I like that. That's going to be cool. All right, though. So, but what do I want to use? What do we want to use for the inside? Oh, and are these folds straight? Let's go ahead and see. They are. Something looks a little crooked, but I'm sure it'll even out. We'll figure it out. Okay. So for the inside layer, let's do some handwriting pages. Have you ever read the short story of the yellow wallpaper? And this one, I needed to clean my printer heads. If you'll see the lines on the paper, I call it pinstripe paper, and I like the way it looks, so I use it. I love it, and I use it. I love pinstripe paper. We are probably going to use that for the inside of the journal. We'll use some of this and some of the handwriting paper. I've read the yellow wallpaper 3 or 4 times, and let's do this one. I'm working on a journal collection with that theme, perfect for well, anybody who likes the story for entertainment purposes, and also for anybody who may be working through some things, like maybe from some past experiences, past trauma. I'm actually working on an art piece with a key that's very symbolic of giving ourselves permission to begin unpacking and healing from things that we experienced. That maybe the yellow wallpaper brings up memories, or we see some, you know, some signs, some safety issues in that story, but it just inspired me to create a journal collection. And I like the idea of the yellow wallpaper, handwriting, the flowers for the garden scene. I thought, well, that's going to be a really fun theme. Okay, so we're going to measure that here. I don't want to just blanket glue this and fold it. I do that sometimes, and I've done it before, but it just doesn't always produce the best result. It can be a little, the folds can be a little wonky, like the glue sets in a certain way, and it's just, it either sets to the closed position or the open position. It doesn't always dry and end up in a way that I actually like. Okay, so we're just doubling up on here. And we don't want to, at least I don't want to, overlap on the fold. Okay. I'm gonna cut this here. And this being so close to the edges up top makes it really interesting for the gluing. But the good thing about that is I don't have to glue super precisely, just to kind of keep it in position, because I'm going to be sewing the edges of mine. Do you like to sew? I personally don't care for sewing fabric or clothes, at least not at this time. When my daughter was a baby, I had actually a kids clothing business where I made clothes. I did it out of necessity. I didn't love sewing, but let me tell you, when I saw pictures of people and their kids wearing my clothes and they were so happy, I thought, well, that's, well, I'll be. Who knew I'd be making clothes? I prefer to sew paper and fabric. Okay, let's see here. I like this color on this one. I don't remember, did I distress the paper on the inside? I think I did, and I think I want to do that too. So I'm gonna use one of my favorite glues, is the purple glue, because it tends to warp just a little less. I think I want to leave a little, no, I'm not gonna mess with that, because I'm gonna try to leave a little on the edge, and it's gonna end up a little bit uneven, and I'm gonna be here all night. So I'm gonna distress the edges of these papers really quick. Do you like to make your own journals, or do you like to watch journal videos? And I have another question. Do you love to write in your journals and notebooks that you make? Because I know I love to journal. Okay. Lots of okays. I'm going to put the tape at the top there so we can see it. Okay. Yeah. See? Another okay. And during this part of the process, I often look and think, this is just 2 pieces of paper. How is that going to be thick enough? And then I remember, because it worked the last time. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this, and because I'm sewing the edges of the cover, and I'll show you when it's tomorrow my time and I sew it, I will show you how I do it. It's a little easier to move the purple one too. If something needs to be realigned, because that other glitter glue, it grabs fast, which is actually a good thing for tutorials, but oh sweet, there's just a little teensy bit of an edge. Oh, but since it was precise, that means it's gone somewhere. That's okay. Well, if it hangs off a little bit, I can trim that up, or I'm pretty sure we're not going to notice in the end. And then I also, this is about a good time for us to remind ourselves, don't you think, that any perceived imperfections that we see, we're not going to notice in the end, because there's going to be so many layers to this. Now I'm just going to glue the bottom piece here. So, and I think I said this before, but it bears repeating. This is just my personal preference. I will sew through paper that has glue on it. I just try to wait for the glue to dry. All right, now this, this makes me wonder if something was a little crooked here, but it doesn't seem like it is. Something might have been. I also actually firmly believe that we can fix anything. Like this being some sort of a gap here. Not only do I plan on distressing this here, but I will probably try to find a way to put a trim of something here so that we don't see how crooked that is and there's that gap. But since the other side is going to have fabric on it, I'm not worried about it being strong enough. It will be fine. And if the inside gets a little tattered looking while the outside fabric holds it, that's okay. Because then we don't have to distress it. It just naturally, from wear and tear, whether it's minimal or a lot of wear and tear over time, will start to look aged. Come on, get up there. Get up there. Okay. Sweet. Look at all that imperfection. Well, I feel like I'm all over the place tonight, but you know what? This is how I create when I'm not recording. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. There's imperfections in what I make. The perception of perfection is weird anyway. So this is what we have so far for the cover. So far so good, right? Caffeinated, well, somewhat caffeinated, but ready to get started on the day. Look at this. This dried quite nicely. And I didn't glue these together super, I think I said this before. Oh, and it's even coming apart. Man, what's up with that glue? Okay, so this is kind of, it's okay that it's like this because I just need to hold this steady while I sew it. But if you're not gonna sew yours, make sure you glue yours better than I did. Okay, so let's go pick some fabric and do some sewing. Now, before we start sewing, we gotta pick some fabric. So thank you for not judging me with how I set up my fabric pile. I stand a little more organization, but this is how I have to have it set up for me. I have it all folded. Most things are folded so I can see them on the sides. So when I go to pick something, I can see what my options are. That was a big sigh. Shall we do a few deep breaths together? Deep breath in and out. Okay. Now, I like green. I like the green, but let's see. Is that going to be too much green? Not if I decorate it with things that are not green, because the thread's going to be dark green. I almost wonder if I want to make the spine a little bit brighter. One of the fabrics I often use is one I can't see right now. Oh, here we go. This one, it's like a stretchy cream color fabric. I'm probably going to go with this one actually because it'll I don't always have to brighten up mine, but I think for this one I will. Oh, actually, I think I found it. Some purple lace. No, I don't think that's gonna really enforce it enough though. It'd be great for a decorative little piece, but not for the overall. You know what actually I'm gonna do? Here, let's do this. Because I don't want to brighten it up too much and I don't want it to be too dark. We'll use this one. This is a beautiful fabric that I got from my friend Summer. Hey girl, hey. Well, I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna use that one. I think I actually used it on the bead journal folio too. I like this because it's not too dark, not too light. And I used this on the bead journal folio with some blue fabric. So yes, I'm absolutely gonna use this one. I'm not going for anything super fancy or even precise because I do like, oh, Letty's coming downstairs. I do like the frayed look when it frays on the edges just a little bit. I'm gonna do, we're gonna eyeball about an inch. Oh, I love this fabric. Summer, if you see this, I'd like to get some more fabric from you, please. All right, now, actually, I'm gonna try a little something. We're going double layer here on the fabric. This one, which is thin, it's not a problem, but it might be, it's a little thinner than what I'd like here. So I'm just putting a second piece of fabric on the back, and it's peeking from the behind it, but not a lot, because there's not a lot of contrast here. It's not really going to be visible. If it frays a little and adds a little something there, I think that that is great. But the primary purpose I have that there for is to just reinforce this fabric. Although I'm sure it's sturdy, I just want it to be a little bit thicker. Okay, it's done. Well, no, it's not done, but this is sewed. I used the heartbeat stitch on the edge here. I don't know the technical name. It just looks like a heartbeat to me. Heartbeat stitch here, and then the straight ahead stitch here. Apparently, I know that the fabric when it got to me, it was perfectly great, and it still is. But I have a little few cut pieces here that apparently I was trying to cut one layer when there was two or something. I don't know. But when that looks a little more tattered and ragtag, that's going to be really cool. So that's what I did for this. I just sewed the heartbeat stitch around the edge first, and then I did the straight ahead stitch on the fabric that is reinforcing where the folds are and like the spines. And now that I look on the other side, that looks pretty nice though. That looks pretty nice. I am now remembering, because of this, I think I glued another layer of paper. So this might be a triple layer, which is okay. I just would have done either not, I maybe would not have glued the second layer on this, but I'm gonna have to probably cover this up, but I'm gonna try to not look at the bead journal folio and just kind of piece this together. So we'll see how that comes together, but this is something that I don't know, I'd rather not see this on the back, just the straight ahead stitch. It just doesn't, it's not aesthetically what I was going for. But we'll see how the rest of it goes. I'm gonna go upstairs and we'll start making the pages that go in here. Okay, so I totally peeked. That was like the first thing I did when I came up here. But look, I left it for this one. Little Franken stitches. I think what I was thinking at the time was that if I put these pockets and the things here, it's not going to be super noticeable. And it doesn't look bad. Now that I look at this, it doesn't look bad. It's part of the process that, you know, I get caught up into. It's just thinking, oh, I don't really care for that right now. But, you know, the more I make stuff, the more I kind of learn that sometimes part of the process is just continuing with it, because it looks so much different. You know, like when I see people drawing, the drawing videos on the sketchbook flip throughs, in the beginning it doesn't look like much, but you just know that it's going to turn into something. So this, I like doing that. So, okay, so the next thing I'm going to do then, fine, I'm going to leave that, is I'm gonna do the easier part first. Let's cut these little pockets for right here. And let's take a drink of whatever you're drinking. I'm drinking coffee and water and cold tea. The same cup, not in the same cup. I usually have my trifecta of drinks. Okay, and I paused it. Sorry if I ever don't pause it, but I'm gonna try to share as little gulping as I can. Unless you like those ASMR videos. I find them entertaining. All right, so since we are doing, and we did handwriting here. Does that match too much? As I ask myself while I continue to create. Let's see, we've got some green on the outside, only a little bit of green. So actually, let me reach over here and grab a piece of this green. We will do the pockets in this green and maybe one of the flappy pages in some green, because that leaves a lot of room for like maybe some flowers or pressed flowers or something. I do want to use this yellow one. We'll use this for something, but for right now I'm going to stick with the green just to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so let's cut this. Lots of okays because everything is okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and mark the paper. Tell me in the comments, what project are you currently working on right now? Maybe not at this very minute, or maybe you are. I like to use videos as like background, sort of like the body doubling concept. I do that often. But is there a creative project that you're working on right now? I'd love to hear about it. And if you're ever thinking, oh my goodness, I just have to tell somebody about this project, I'm so excited, feel free to come back here or on any of these videos and leave a comment, because I love hearing about that. I love hearing about it. Feel free to share your wins. Okay. Apparently that's like my favorite word. I just had a pen. In search of a pen cup. We're just gonna do this. I'm not really measuring like how deep I want my pockets to be. I'll tell you though. Sometimes I don't measure or do any of the things, and I'm thinking, well, I know I didn't want it that measurement, but it is what it is. And even as it is, it can be changed. So that's 5 inches, so 2.5. Is that even gonna be thick enough though? No, it's not. So what we're gonna do, since I measure with my heart and not often with a ruler. I really am feeling though that I do some of my best work when I don't have a specific plan. I mean, I had a plan coming into this, right? Where we're gonna make a journal folio. That's a little bit too much. But I didn't have concrete measurements and supplies. Although after this, I will have a better idea of what to use. So I'm gonna actually see about putting maybe a list of like how many pages and what measurements, and so if you ever want to attempt this, you kind of have a little bit of an idea, because I know we've been meeting some newer people to making things like this, so then if that helps. All right, so I'm gonna leave it like that. And I did do little notches, so I like that. You know what? I have to take these down just a little bit, because if I'm gonna put seed packets in here, I would like them to be just a little bit short. Okay. almost knocked over my coffee. I'd have been a little sad, but I would have just paused recording and went and made myself another one. I'm gonna get my 2-inch hole puncher here. This is nice to have. I know there's a lot of fancy punches, but this has been the one I use by far the most. It's my 2-inch, or even the 1-inch circle punches. Ta-da! It may be a little crooked. Not for long. We don't have to leave everything the way it is. We can adapt it. Sweet. One can be a little bigger than the other. That's totally fine with me. And then, whoops, sorry for moving the camera. I'm gonna grab the Distress inks, which I need to refill. Let's see if it has enough. Let's do some contrast on the edges. Whoop. Can re-ink this, or sometimes when I hit it with just a little spray of water, it helps too. And I don't think these are like a must-have if you're not into inking, but I happen to really like them. I know I posted a video, I think it was either on TikTok, Instagram, or maybe both, where I did not know how to use those little ink pads, because at the time, everybody I was following who made like junk journals or things that used the Distress oxide, I had asked questions and nobody really answered it. So I didn't know I was taking the pad and trying to put it on the paper. But one kind person in their live, I asked, because I needed to know, like, what is that thing you're using? And she had a little finger, a dauber for her finger. So I was able to order one, and I thought, well, that's really nifty. So I ended up getting the handheld one. But I do have the finger one. I do have packs of the finger ones. That was a great starter. Okay, I'm gonna close this because these will dry even more. My favorite punch right there. And then we can glue this on. I'm gonna make sure. Sometimes my sponge, it's not a expensive name brand dauber sponge. See that pinstripe paper? That looks nice, doesn't it? I can just glue this here. And sometimes little pieces of it come off, so I just try to wipe it. I got one of these to, I thank goodness I got an extra one because I got one of those to help keep my car clean. I don't know where the car one is, but it helps me keep my creative work clean. All right, I try to hold the middle of the pocket that I don't want to glue. I try to, like, in my head, I just kind of grasp the notch so that when I do this, I don't glue the pocket shut. I haven't done that in a long time. So long that I'm not really sure. I'm gonna leave the tail here and I'll just trim it later, a little thread tail. Ta-da! Lovely. Lovely. Oh, we don't care that the design is upside down because it's not now. It's supposed to be this way, so it's not upside down. We'll use a metaphor. Things aren't always as they seem. Sometimes upside down is being presented as right side up, especially since this is inspired by the yellow wallpaper. How fitting. How fitting, right? Sweet. Okay, so that part's done. This is coming together so nicely. Since I did the little reversey-poo on these, I'm gonna try to not, I did the reversey-poo on these, but when I was ending it, I started to take it out from under the foot. So I put it back and did the reverse. So there's a little loop here, but everything else turned out so nice. I'm just gonna trim this off. If it frays, it frays. That's totally fine. Now, I had a band on, wait, I did the little flopping paper here and the two flopping papers here. Pages, okay, or pages. So we have this, we'll have this for one of the pages. We can have this for one of the pages. And I said I was gonna do green for one of the pages too. Maybe this side here. And then we might put a pocket here with that. Okay, all right. And then we can do like a handwriting page or something. Let's do this, because I see the handwriting and the postage and the received, because yellow wallpaper, the handwriting. I don't think there was much about the like handwritten like letters or mail, but to me that's close enough. I like it. It's gonna go that way. So I'm just thumbing through my papers to see if anything else pops out at me instead of that one. You know what? I actually do like this one better. So yeah, and then it's this one. So we'll use that for one of the inner pages. All right. So I'm glad I keep this. It's the same. So if this is an 8.5 by 11, this is the height, this is the width, unless we turn it sideways, but we're just gonna pretend this is, I guess it's now the height. So we kept this the same. So I'm gonna leave it like this because I can always trim it later. But I have a little tab on the, ooh, paper sliding. I have a little tab here. So measuring this to fit the cover with a little extra something here. And I did that with both of these. Both of the tabs are actually stacked under here. It's a lot of glue. So that's gonna be what I do here, or try to do here. I will go like this because this is how I measured last time, I believe. Boop. So it's there, tucked in. And then if we glue, because I feel like there's a lot of ways to adapt this. If this gets, I hate to say messed up, but if it if it ends up not like I intended, I feel like there's some ways to work with that. So I'm gonna put a little, I didn't do this last time, put a little notch here, because this is gonna be where I cut, and this is gonna be where I gently fold. Oh, I could have used this smaller piece over here of the green. It's whatever. I'm sure this will get used. I have my scrap / ephemera. Oh, have you seen my ephemera holder? I made a video on that. It's a big project. I'm making progress on it. It's definitely a learning experience. Okay, so we're cutting here. I'm actually not gonna do that. We're gonna cut, is it there? Anyway, I like to keep as much scraps as I can. Sometimes it's a lot to manage and it's way too much, but I really try not to waste. Okay, and this is something that I've been doing. I don't have a scoring board, and I mean, I could probably use one for like measurements if I measured a little bit more, but for right now, I also have another little white cutter that has places that are scored, like it's a cutter and a little scoring board, because there's the indents there that I can score without cutting. But I've just been using this because it's easier. I just have to be gentle because this can actually, as you know, go through the paper. But sometimes it's just good to know that I can actually fix it if I go through it. Because there's actually a scoring tool for this, but I just, you know, I already feel like I have a lot of stuff. I try to keep track of it and, you know, keep my space organized so that I can work in it smoothly. And for me, that's just right now what that looks like, is having as few tools as possible, but utilizing these in the most efficient way that I can. So I just do that. Now before I fold this, actually, I'm gonna do the other side. And I am going to do the same on both sides. Because if this is too much, you know, green wallpaper, then it can be decorated on top. I think the green and the brown are great colors to build on. So this is why I like this. It's so versatile. I can't see though, so if I'm trying to cut two things that are the same size, I won't need the scoring, I don't think. I'm gonna check. I don't think I can see. Okay, so there's the tab underneath. I'm trying to see if okay, there's the tab underneath, but this layer, it's not like a quadruple tab. There's this one's tab, and then this one's just cut. Okay, so I'll do that. And it's okay if I don't get this super precise, because the inking also helps with that. Okay. Let's see how that measures. Let's see how that goes. It's a little bit longer, but I can work with that. I can work with that. Sometimes I just gotta, I'm surprised I don't think I need to put an explicit warning on this video, because just so you know, I am that person. But, because I just get so excited. Those are just the words I use. But I've had to mess up a lot of things to learn how to, you know, adapt them. And so let's do the one on top for the B folio. This is the one with tabs, and I like the way that looks. The circles, I'm gonna do it for the sake of somewhat going off of this inspiration. I'll do circle ones, but I don't always want to. So we'll do at least one pocket for this, and then probably not one for this. Because I was contemplating doing a third, like a pocket, and then maybe we will. We'll just, first things first, let's do this one. So we're gonna do a pocket here. Can you hear the dog snoring? This is gonna be a really long video. I'll try to remember to give you a heads up in the beginning and say, get your drinks, get your snacks, pause when you need to. You already know, but sometimes it's nice to have that reminder. Get your snacks. We're hanging out today. I do miss doing the live videos on Whatnot, like the creative sessions like this. I wonder if I would still be decent at watching the chat though. Okay, let's fold this. It's already folded. I absolutely do want to I was thinking of the tabs. This one, I like the color part to show here, but that's also not super noticeable. Because, you know, if I just go like this and this is white and inked, it's not going to be that noticeable. It's going to be fine, I think. I'm not going to try to change that because I think my brain's going to be on overload if I do. So let's do that. I'm going to round the corners. I'm going to cut to, okay. So we have this, a little extra tab here. And what do I want to do first? let's round the corners because I want to. Letty is snoring so heavily. She is tired. She is tired. She follows, it's not always me, but lately it is definitely me she follows around. Like if I leave this room, she's gonna come follow me. She gets really bad separation anxiety, and we've tried all the things, even the calming treats, that does not work. She gets so anxious that sometimes she will hurt herself trying to get to us if we leave her home alone. So she doesn't like to be left alone. I'm gonna do something similar to the last one. I do like how I did the notch on the top. I think I did. Well, here we go. Notch on the top. And then I do want it to be a similar size. I will be a little sad if I don't, but to figure it out if I don't. Let's see. Please stay. Wow. That's a first. I'm just checking to see. I think for me it's more important to me to get the circles somewhat the same. Oh good, they're very similar. Very similar. And then, ah, crap. Well, I did one on one side and one on the other for the other one, but this is how this is going to be. They're both going to be on the top. That's just how it is. Unless I do, no, I'm not doing a third one. We're going to leave it like this. I think it looks nice. I tell myself as I just want to pause the video and sigh a little bit. All right, so we're gonna ink. We're gonna glue. Let's ink first. Yay. I love that this is coming together, because for the base, all we have, right, is the pages. 3 total pages like this. And then the base, this video is done. Well, my intention is for us to decorate this in a different video. And I'm also, if you guys are still interested in the handmade seed packet video of how I did it, I would love to do that with you too. I call them seed packets. They can be whatever, pockets, call them whatever you want. I call them seed packets. I do like the idea of cutting tabs on both sides, and I'm not really sure what it's supposed to do to be like, to go like this, but I kind of like them because honestly, I kind of like the way they look. But then if I get it a little bit wonky, or one's a little bit higher on the top, then I don't have anything sticking up. Although I can trim it. I guess I just kind of do it because I've seen it done and I like it. But maybe you know why people do those little tabs. If we're doing the seed packets, and let's say that something is like getting folded in a certain way, like here, and then there's tabs on the side, that can help it from scrunching into each other. But on something like this, it's not really an issue. So I just do it. I just do it because I want to. You can watch me ink. And so the other pages will be like this. part of me wants to keep the video rolling just in case something really interesting happens. Yeah, because then if you don't want to see that part, this video is already going to be an hour long. But you know what? That's not unreasonable, because this takes a while to put together. And if this was a brand new design, this would take me even longer. So, you know, I designed the other one, and the way that my brain chews on information before I make something, I try to recall other experiences of things I've made and how things worked out and how I want things to look and function, and try to really like design it so that it's functional. And if it's gonna function in a certain way or not function in a certain way, how do I feel about that? How am I going to present it to myself so that if I'm to share it with you guys, or yeah, share with you guys, and I do mean that in I mean that word, guys, in a gender neutral way for everybody, but then I can, you know, confidently present that. So I'll probably leave it rolling, and if you don't want to see it, that's fine. But if something, because something interesting might happen, something really interesting might happen. And okay, so what I'm gonna also do is, let's practice folding this shut. Sniffles. That's what's going to be in here. Maybe I can, I do want it to be pretty flush, but I am okay with it if it sits a little inside. But it tells me if I set it right in that little nook there, it's going to have to come out a little bit, which may be perfect for the, you know, the next part. I'm just trying to make a decision here. Do I want to ink that or glue this in? Or I can just put a little band of color. It's probably going to need one anyway. I'm going to go like that. It's going to need a little color when we embellish it. So I'm going to hold on very dearly to these notches so I don't glue my pocket shut and the glue spit a little bit. But we're going to take care of that. Oops. Here in a second. But I suppose if we do glue a pocket shut, well, I do glue a pocket shut, you can turn it into a faux pocket. There's a ton of things of it we could do if a pocket ever accidentally gets glued shut. Ta-da! There we go. Is that pretty? Yeah, it's pretty close. Oh. Maybe not so much on the other side, but can we still shift it? This glue dries fast. It's okay. I'm gonna show you how I fix that. I'll show you how I fix that shit. I'm gonna cut this little part off here. Sometimes this ends up being a little bit of a, what was I thinking? There. We'll cut this part off. And I find myself having to wipe off my scissors pretty frequently because I get little glue pieces on them. Okay. And see, there's a little bit of white at the top, but it's nothing a little inking can't change. Oops. Oh, man. Okay. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, Dion. Let's go sideways. Sweet. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Here we go. Well, if you ever create things and you feel like, oh, it's not perfect, first of all, remember to be kind to yourself. And second of all, nobody's is perfect. It's just what we perceive when we're shown. Okay. And I'll either put one good solid piece of paper in here or two with these notches, and it'll just have two notches on the one piece. Actually, that might look really cool. I don't think I've ever done that before. So this could be a first. Let's just ink the center part too. Let's just put some, yeah, vintage looking that up. Make it look vintage looking. Sweet. Sweet. Okay. And yes, we will be putting we could just put a little tuck band on the side here, or a decorative band. I don't know, we'll see. Can't put a marching band, there's not enough room. Okay. There's this one. Now, what was another one gonna be? There's this. Let's put the cover paper for the next page. In fact, I almost want to do the cover. Well, we shouldn't do two of the same. I shouldn't do two of the same. I'll do this here, and then maybe I'll do the vintage handwriting here. It'll kind of flow into this piece. Maybe, perhaps. We'll see. Onward. Oh, and I think I sewed not this double pocket, but this one here. So I might do that. I might pop down and sew a page of here just to give it a little inside texture. I'm gonna try to remember. No promises. No promises. But I am gonna cover this glue, because when this tip dries out, it's a major pain. But then I try to clean it with the pin. Okay. Set. It is done. It is done. Well. Oh, it's not straight up and down, this thing. So if you ever have something that's not straight up and down, just remember, if it's okay when I do it, it's okay when you do it. Maybe if I watch this video one day, I'm gonna be like, okay, I have that reminder. I hear myself. I'll be kind to myself. Fine. Sometimes it's difficult to do. Let's try. I will try to get that there. Okay, cool. I wish we could have music on in the background, but you know, copyright. I've got some lo-fi music that I put together a while back. Could put that as background, maybe for future videos. What do you think? What kind of music do you like to listen to? I love almost everything. I don't care for country music, and I don't care for like polka music personally. But I've also never had anybody personally, like in real life, you know, say, hey, I really love polka music and this is what I love about it, and I'd love to like play this song on YouTube for you or something, you know. So, but I don't like that. I like lo-fi music and that chill stuff. I also like classic rock. I like rap. I like R&B. I like classics, songs from the 80s and 90s and 2000s. I love alternative music. Big Stevie Nicks fan. Classic rock. Love it. I do like music. When I find myself in a very anxious state, or just mentally having a rough time, putting on some music helps me really helps me redirect myself. It's so good. That looks great. Do I want to make this a pocket? I probably do. Because then that way there'll be 3 circles there. You know? Know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll just put it right in the center. Apparently Letty is experiencing some gastric distress. Be thankful you're not here to smell it. That seems functional to me. Let's hold this here. Is it gonna let me hold it here? Where does it sit? Please stay. Oh, it's not gonna work that way. Oh, there we go. I did really well last time with my placement. Oh, it shifted. Well, this time will be interesting. Let's see. I think it's gonna be okay, because even if I get it a little bit cattywampus, or not cattywampus, but if it sticks out a little more than I want, I'll just put something underneath here. I shall figure it out. Figure it out. Let's round these corners. All right, now it's time to make a decision. When it comes to creative projects, sometimes I just try to, you know, metaphorically close my eyes and go for it, because I can have some issues with commitment when it comes to my creative work. So it's hard to just commit, but I'm becoming more I think for me, just turning that around for myself, it just took me creating and trying and learning to trust myself in the process, that if something doesn't turn out the way I planned or expected, I can make it into something great, or at least good. Because I don't subscribe to the idea that everything happens for a reason. I don't subscribe to that at all. But I do subscribe to that with everything that happens, we can do something with it. And all right, I'm gonna make the decision. I'll do it. I'm just gonna do it. And I'm not gonna try to make it the same, because I think if I do, it's gonna stress me out a little bit, and I don't wanna do that. I wanna have fun with this. And I know that with whatever I end up doing, I can make it great. I can't stop saying that, because it's reminding me, like, oh yeah, of other times where I really messed something up and it ended up being good. I also don't do well with cliches. Like, unless I feel it and have experienced it. Because, you know, Bob Ross was a fantastic artist, and he was very inspiring to a lot of people, including one of my very good friends who is such a fantastic artist. But, you know, I'm not always like, you know, oh, well, that was a happy accident. No, it does not always seem like a happy accident. And no, I'm not always happy when things happen. But he's not wrong. You know, we can, sometimes we just got to work with what we have, and when it comes to the creative works, we can make it into something great. Now this little gap here is going to be fine, because if I were to look back on this like I do on the bee journal, I'm going to have to maybe look kind of hard to see. I think I used the dark one. I don't think it matters. See exactly what I did and how I put it together. Okay, we're doing it. Look at me committing. also, it's okay to commit, but we don't have to stay rigid, you know, like, well, once you make a commitment, you have to keep it forever. Not really. I mean, you make a commitment, sometimes it stops working for you and you have to readapt. I think the key is doing it intentionally, and, you know, I'm going to really pat myself on the back for creative projects that, sometimes creative projects, it's time to, you know, put it in the recycle bin. Like, I am really not feeling this. I tried. I have to say no because this, I am not feeling it and it is messing with my piece, right? But then there's those times where you just know, there's sometimes you just know, I really need to finish this because I want to be more consistent, because I want to practice, because I know I can. But sometimes something is blocking it. Like if a process is too difficult or it's not working, sometimes I think we know. We might not know with the words like, hey, this is way too complicated for me. That's why I'm not picking it back up. We don't know. Let's see, I'm all talking and I don't need to stress the whole bunch of it, but we just don't know. But we often have our reasons, and I think it helps to work with our brains and figure out what we need from ourselves to do the thing, you know? You know? If you know, you know. I don't really think I need to do this because it's going to be doubled up, so that's enough of that. Okay, sweet. Now I really hope that I've had this all in frame and I haven't been going like this the whole time. But I think that if I have, you can still see it. But if I did that, just know I'm going to try to do better next time. And I'm going to keep on creating. I do like this glue. I've heard great things about the one with the bear on it, the Barely Art glitter glue. Is that it? I haven't tried it yet. I've been meaning to for a long time, but you know, I just have a ton of this glue. So I'll try it in the future. But if you have tried it and you like it, or not, let me know what you think. Let us all know what you think. Yeah, in the moment it does bug me when it's like, man, that's crooked. But it happens even when I measure. But I'm gonna leave this like this. It's sticking out just a little bit. Sweet. All right, well, nothing interesting happened with that one. So we're okay. I think I do want to glue these together. Just the tab parts. I think I did that last time. Did I? I think I did. I'm gonna try it. I'm not gonna try it here on that. Nope, I think I've done that before and I regretted it. Okay, more commitment. Woohoo! All right, this is where these things are gonna live. Unless I decide that, you know what, that just doesn't work. Okay. Oh, it's a little crooked on the bottom. Help! Sticking out a little bit on the top. That's annoying. I'm gonna fix that. Sometimes it's all about drawing the eye somewhere else too, when it's like, I don't like how that does that. Let's go ahead and do this so that it doesn't get noticed. And so I don't see it. Because it's fine when it's open, but when it's closed, it shifts, and I can see why. Can I move you just enough? I think I did it. I think I was able to move it. Oh. Okay, all right. This is going well. Oh, ish. Well, if I have to trim them, now is going to be the time to do it. Let's see. Well, let's see how that works. I think that's how I did it last time. I just kind of smushed it in place, and then I glued it and closed it, and then really quick made any adjustments I had to make, because this is pretty flush. Here. And I can make all the pre-measurements I want. I can plan, but if I forget something and mess it up, then my brain gets really discouraged, and sometimes I can't pick a project back up. So this just works better for me. And if you're the kind of person who needs to measure, then I definitely recommend you do that. Well, it doesn't need to be flush. I just decided. It doesn't need to be flush. It's all contained in here. There's little things I don't think I'm gonna really notice or be bothered by later on. So we're just going all in with some commitment here. And then I'm gonna check it before the official finishing of the entire junk journal folio, and make sure that I don't, whoops, crap, I gotta wipe that. Make sure that I don't need to touch anything up. Well, that went pretty well so far. I'm gonna let it dry open though, and I'm gonna take a little break. So I'm gonna let this lay open and dry so that if there is any wet glue, especially on that part that I just wiped up, that it won't glue shut. Because then we'll just be adapting. Sweet. Well, I mean, I'm liking how it's coming together so far. That's definitely gonna need more glue. Where's that coming up? Oh, it's coming up from the very back. Hey, we could slip a signature in there. But we're not going to. We're just gonna glue this shut. I thought the sewing would take care of it, but then again, I don't sew down the middle. I sew the edges of the fabric. So that was our base paper coming up. We want to make sure that we take care of that. That's why I like the push, pull, tug stuff on these, all these books and creations, so that, you know, everything is intact and functional. So I'm going to close this up and then take a little break. I'm going to let that glue dry, and then we're going to do the last of the tab, and then I think that's it for the base. Yay! Okay, so I actually made, hold on, I made the third page, and I made it off camera just because nothing fun and exciting happened with these ones, other than they kind of looked a little crooked at the time, but I think I fixed that. I just kind of adjusted this and refolded it a little bit, so you can still tell it's handmade, it's not machine made, and that's totally fine. So I made this one. I did ink both sides, and Letty is still snoring and very gassy, so I made this little tuck. Is that a tuck spot? This little pocket. It's whatever, you can put cool stuff in there. So I'm going to glue this in here, but before I do, I'm actually gonna run to my sewing machine and do some quick little stitches on here because I like the texture and I just think it'll be cool. So I'll be right back. Okay, so something happened. I was sewing the zigzag stitch all around here and I thought, I'm just gonna do the straight ahead stitch over here. Well, I changed the size and I thought I was making it bigger, but I made it super small. And then I guess it went through the paper at some point, made a loop and a little bit of a mess. So I just took it out and I was gonna I tried to tug gently at it to undo a little knot. And it turns out I actually pulled all through here. I think that's a combination of the needle being bigger than what it could be and the stitch being really small. So I went over it with a zigzag stitch and apparently it went right through. So it's holding this part closed, but not this part. So it's still a little detached. So my solution for that is going to be to put another one of these on this side. So I'm a little bit bummed, but that's a pretty easy fix. So, but that happened. Okay, so I just glued this little piece here, and I feel like, you know, of course that's a lot of green and brown, but we're gonna embellish that here. So I'm ready to glue that here. I'm kind of bummed that happened, but I'm actually kind of glad because, well, I'm never gonna forget what makes the stitches, which direction makes the stitches smaller. And you know, it's just a learning experience, I guess. So I know it's not gonna be as bothersome once the embellishment process happens. Just trimming these off. Okay. Now, this is ready to be set in place. I kind of want to glue, I might glue this down a little bit too, just off camera, once this is all assembled and put together. Trim those things out of the way. That's on the front. So I'm gonna do the thing. Actually, I don't think I have to, but maybe. Okay. No, I think that's fine. That's fine. Let's glue this down. We're almost done with the base. We're almost done with the base. I think if I were to, well, I kind of am, I'm kind of making a little bit of a system for it now. So if I want to use this format going forward, I can, but I still like the idea of following my heart, especially if, you know, bigger mistakes happen. I can just, you know, adapt it. So there we have it. There we have it. I'm gonna make sure this is flat on the other side. And I'm gonna try to be careful to not keep it closed with the wet glue, but I'm gonna shut it and then open it and just kind of see how that works here after I cover my glue. I'm very excited, even though it's gonna be a long one. I could probably trim it down, you know, like just strict, like, you know, just the making part and no talking and no watching me like distress things and everything, but I'm not really, at least not right now, I'm not really a straightforward, structured tutorial person. I'm just really chill with it, so I think I'm gonna leave it. It's gonna be a long video, but you can go ahead and fast forward if you need to. But here's this embellishment to come and adding pockets and everything. I do like this. I also wish I had distressed this. Oh, but I can also add something here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do to decorate this. So we have this. We have these two pages here. Opens up to these pockets. This page, that one, and this can be folded either way. This way, or, you know, there's so many options, but I love it. Yay! Okay, the base is done. This is awesome. I'm looking forward to sharing this with you. And like this video if you like this video. Be sure to subscribe so we can stay in touch, and then you can catch the video where we embellish this. I'm so happy to share this with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.